Okay, thank you. So my name is SeungMyeong from KETI, Korea Electronics Technology Institute, and we've been involving oneM2M standardization and also the open source implementation and kind of developer support. And we've been engaging government projects regarding the pilots or R&Ds for oneM2M and smart cities. So that's the background that I'm going to share with you. So next, please. So this is the table of contents. So I had a couple of opportunities for sharing Korean smart cities based on IoT, oneM2M at the CDOT events before, but long before I was mentioning the old projects for the pilots like 2015, 2016. So of course that will be the beginning of my presentation. But later on, we are having some commercial deployments in different cities. I think that is a really good message for the Indian government or the organization who are looking for some best practices starting from the projects. And these days, we are having the other smart city R&D projects and some pilot deployments, not just relying on oneM2M or IoT, but the other smart city data-driven platform. But there is also the interconnection with oneM2M, so that's the topic for the third one. And lastly, I will share some lesson learned in the end. And just briefly, which is not shown in the slide set. So those are the first one is the pilot projects. The second ones are commercial deployments. And the thing that I missed to put it in the slide set is the R&D projects, because also government supports some R&D projects that we can extend or enhance the oneM2M and some applications in terms of smart city services. And one of the outcomes that I have contributed oneM2M is the GeoQuery. And I think the next one or next one, the presentation would be the new features from oneM2M release 4. And you will see the GeoQuery, because we thought that GeoQuery is really essential for the smart city application development, but it was not there before. So we designed the API and we made our solution deployments with the parking application. And that was one of the practice that we have. So let's go to the next slide for the pilot projects. So again, so I think this is a quick wrap up for my old presentations before. So the very first pilot projects using oneM2M in South Korea was the Global Smart City. Busan is the second largest city in Korea, and the project consortium was led by the SK Telecom, which is the biggest mobile operator in Korea. And they have conducted a 3 years project, and as you can see, there are a lot of services, because basically that was the pilot projects, testing a lot of services, working with the oneM2M platform. So when you see the diagram, like right bottom, so that is, in the middle, there is the smart city platform. And basically, it consists with two parts. One is the oneM2M IoT middleware platform from the standard, and the other part is the application functions or features to support these applications services on the right-hand side. Next, please. And starting from 2016, there was another pilot project for 2 years in Goyang City, and they also use the oneM2M platform, not just the server platform in the middle, but when you see the devices and gateways, they interwork with the oneM2M platform, of course, with the standard API, standard protocols. Next, please. And Daegu. So Daegu has a lot of different deployments using IoT standard or without using any IoT standard from maybe majorly starting from 2016. And they had a roadmap, as you can see from the left. And from the 16, they tried a lot of different smart city projects. And they try to kind of make the whole city as a test bed, and they use the private-public partnership to boost new services, deployments, or tests. And with the new project, which is the Daegu Suseong Alpha City, they have been kind of creating a new data center, and they are kind of reinstalling the cloud platform, and they are testing different services, as you can see from the list. Next, please. So from now on, I'm going to share some kind of commercial deployments in Korea. So Anyang City, so this is a very new one. So they just finished the kind of commercial deployments. And one kind of key aspect for the Anyang City case is they had kind of different IoT sensor deployments already, and they really wanted to integrate all the sensors and systems into one platform, one data platform, and they chose the oneM2M standard. So there are different services like street light and water metering, fine dust monitoring, and so on and so on. They are just a kind of partial list of the deployments. And for the platforms that the vendor deployed, there are kind of portal services for the users to manage all the services, devices, and applications, and even events and the system aspects. And the other aspect to highlight is they use the kind of public safety LTE, because the government already has the network, and it was able to use the network for free by the kind of local government. So they use the PSLT mainly, and for some rural area, they also use CAT-M1 network. Next, please. So this is what I just verbally explained. So this is the network and all the system configuration. So from the laptop, for some rural area that PSLT cannot reach, they use the commercial network for that reason. And for the rest of the system, they use the PSLTE for free, provided by the government. And they have interconnected all the sensors ultimately to the IoT platform. Of course, that is the oneM2M platform to kind of have different services. Next, please. And Smart City Data Hub. So this is the other project that KETI is involved with. So it has been started with the Smart City National Strategy Program from 2018, and the request or needs was to have a data-centric smart city platform. So we are calling it as the Smart City Data Hub. And when you see the architecture diagram here on the screen, so it's a big box having data ingest or data collection and data management, all data models, flows, and the other. And on top, there are some semantic technologies, and data service stands for basically the data marketplace enabler, and they are the data analytics module for the data scientists to use their own sandboxes to develop their own kind of prediction model and so on. And the important thing as a kind of IoT standard kind of stakeholder, so on the bottom, there are legacy systems. And as we already saw from the other kind of deployments in different cities in Korea, there are legacy systems, of course, and there are IoT systems based on majorly oneM2M. And from the project, even we created a data hub system in the center, but we KETI are hosting several servers, and one of the oneM2M server that we had is gathering all the real-time parking events from the public parking lot, and we gather data and we ingest that event data real-time to the data hub, and we gather public data for the fine dust and the weather. So we created a proof of concept application for the parking congestion prediction. So from that proof of concept, it was really good for us to interact with the standard-based IoT platform. Without that, we should kind of analyze all different IoT kind of systems, which is non-standard based one. So it will take more time and it will take more cost. Next, please. So this is my last slide. And for example, from the Anyang City commercial deployments, what I heard from the vendor company, the platform vendor, device vendors really easily integrated their devices ultimately to the platform. So the collected data to the IoT system or oneM2M platform, there are different application vendors who use those data, and they are different stakeholders. And I think this is important because the very first smart city pilot project from Busan, there were silo pilot projects. There is a company, for example, the smart parking. They provide the device and they provide data to the oneM2M platform, and they even created the applications. But in case of Anyang, there are kind of device vendors who are different from the application vendors. So they use standard and they all talk to the oneM2M platform with the that API. And one thing as a closing comment. So there has been some why Korea has been the first country that adopted oneM2M for the smart city, starting from the Busan pilot project, and also there are many kind of commercial deployments in different cities. And as I know, and as I talk to the vendors or the other people who are really engaging oneM2M, the beauty is we put IoT standard or oneM2M standard or some detailed kind of features from oneM2M standard into the RFP when we plan the kind of pilot projects or when we plan for the procurement of the commercial deployments, and oneM2M guys engage those kind of planning phase. So from the kind of RFP, they say, okay, you use IoT standard, which provides this capability, but in reality, they are the oneM2M capabilities. So that is the kind of magic that I understand or that I heard from the vendor company who are really trying to kind of disseminate oneM2M solutions in different oneM2M smart cities, Korea. Thank you.
Thank you very much, SeungMyeong.